Hello and welcome to week 8. That's it. The whole intro. Week 8 of the Avenger League. Welcome to your weekly preview. As always, we will start by going over the movements and the standings this week. At the top, no movement. Wade still in first place, Charlie still in second place, both at 5 and 2, and Ashley joins the party, also at 5 and 2, moving up a spot. Actually, she was in that party already, but she moves up because Tim left. Tim is now in fourth place at 4 and 3. Raleigh as well at 4 and 3 in fifth place, and then we have Andrew, John, and Cameron in that order at 3 and 4. We have Trevor at 2 and 5, and bringing it up the rear with still just a lone win on the season is me. It's me. I'm the problem. Yeah. So here's your recap. No need to go into any more detail about what's going on there as far as waivers and transactions this week. A lot of movement. Lot of movement. We got there's a bunch of, obviously, a couple of injuries that took place. Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk being the two big ones. Mike Evans, obviously his not season ending, but still very significant. So I had first waiver priority, and with that, I snatched up Romeo Dobbs. Andrew grabbed Jawan Jennings. Raleigh took on Ricky Pearsall. That would be the two coming off the Brandon Ayuk news. I myself, done with the 49ers. Done with them. Tim went ahead and snagged Mark Andrews coming off of his big game, chasing that. We have a couple defenses going, and then we have Andrew picking up Sterling Shepard and Raleigh picking up Jalen McMillan. So Andrew and Raleigh both chasing the injuries there, which for Raleigh makes sense because he had Mike Evans. Andrew just chasing some receivers there, smart. And then this morning, obviously, before he broke the news to any of us, John went ahead and snatched up DeAndre Hopkins off the news that he was heading to Kansas City. And also off that news, Charlie grabbed Calvin Ridley, the now and always wide receiver 1 in Tennessee. And then I grabbed Jalen Warren this morning, and Charlie snatched up Xavier Leggett. So yeah, a lot of movement. Is that all receivers? Was every take a receiver except for Mark Andrews? Let's see, Dobbs, Jennings, Pearsall, Andrews, a couple defenses, receiver, defense, receiver, kicker, running back. I took the first running back this morning after waivers are processed, and then Charlie picked up a wide receiver. Crazy. It's almost like wide receivers are just getting hurt every single week. Crazy how that works. Yeah, so last week on the wheel, we had lowest scoring starter. Congratulations to Tim for winning $10 by having the New York Jets defense put up 0 points. So congratulations there. A little consolation. You got $10. And we get to see what we're rocking with this week, and also everybody's favorite game. Actually, I want to not blast everyone's ears. I figured out why I did it. Oh, God, no, I didn't. There we go. Wrong knob. Oh, baby. I'm going to be honest. I didn't even realize this one was on here. But what a year for this to be the category. Because somebody could win with 1 reception for 15 yards. Tied in with the most scrimmage yards. That is actually incredible. I love that. Anyway, now time for everybody's favorite segment. John, thank you.
Andy Isabella minute, Andy Isabella minute, Andy Isabella minute, Andy Isabella.
So today we are obviously this is the Andy Isabella minute. We are going to be talking about Andrew Isabella. Andrew Isabella is a NBA and MSN RN director of nursing. He attained his MBA from Grand Canyon University. And he has been working as the director of nursing at the Redemption Psychiatry for since July of 2023. Before that, he was a clinical manager. Before that, he was a clinical director, a clinical nurse supervisor, and a director of nursing. He has had 11 total jobs listed on LinkedIn. Andrew Isabella, he did his undergrad at Chamberlain University, and Fred Johnson gave this recommendation and said, I have been working with Andrew for most of the last 2.5 years. He is a very unique employee and that he is a tremendous nurse, clinical supervisor, and business leader. Most importantly, he has helped drive fantastic clinical results for our patients month after month, year after year. On top of that, his MBA in natural business feel make him a very important asset to Team Select. And that is our Andy Isabella Minute. Thank you all for joining. All right, we get to the important stuff. As always, we get to start with our first place team, which this year just gets to be Wade, wire to wire. Wade taking on Trevor. Trevor won back-to-back games after losing his first 5. He boldly proclaimed a few weeks ago that he was going to make the playoffs, and I'm starting to believe him. This obviously would be a very, very important game for him to get there. 2-6, I feel like is a very it's a steep hole to climb out of. 3-5 is doable, I believe. I mean, as usual, I think 500 gets you in the playoffs. I think that's what you have to shoot for. So obviously, the closer Trevor can get to that every week, the better he'll be. Which, yes, means that I just said winning is better for Trevor to get into the playoffs. I understand that. That's the dynamite analysis you come here for. So just kind of taking a glance over Trevor's lineup. He's got some matchups that are obviously very favorable. Both of them being Bears. He's got Swift and DJ Moore against the Commanders this week. And just an interesting game all around. Now, on the other side, you do have Caleb Williams being started for the first time since Wade has finally given up on Patrick Mahomes. After, Patrick Mahomes carried you into first place, so I don't know why you gave up on him that quickly. And Chris Godwin is still on the team. That's interesting. I actually just now saw that. Good for you, man. Not even in the IR slot, just has a roster spot. So obviously, DeAndre Swift versus Caleb Williams is there because they directly take away from each other for the most part. Obviously, Caleb Williams and DJ Moore being the opposite there. So just a lot of interesting things to keep an eye on. I think they're both very important to Trevor's success this week. And you also have Javonte Williams still slotted in, going off of his 22-point performance against, who the fuck did they play? God, that game sucked. The Saints. Yeah, scored 2 touchdowns, 88 yards, and now he gets Carolina, who is the worst team against the run in the league. So another good spot start there. Obviously, Nick Chubb has the Ravens, and he's still being eased into the lineup, so it makes sense to have him slotted in there. A little bit of a shocking development is Devontae Smith on the bench. Having said that, the only person that I could see you going in over is Brian Thomas in the flex, and Brian Thomas has been an absolute stud. You're not taking out Amon-Ra. He was just wide receiver 1. DJ Moore's got a juicy matchup and is an excellent wide receiver, and Brian Thomas, just matchup wise between the 4, I think he's got the toughest one, but that really out Chicago and Buffalo have been the only teams that have looked to slow him down. Green Bay is good. I don't think they're that good. Now on the flip side, Bijan obviously has been coming off of a monster run, which you're all very aware of, and I am even more aware of. Kind of expect him to continue that with this week. I do think we gotta put the Bucks on not quit watch, but we need to be aware that there may be some quit there. I think Baker Mayfield can kind of rally the boys, but we're interested in the defensive side and a team that is not great at stopping the run in general. So, I think that's huge there. And I also think James Conner, obviously I'll talk about Arizona when I get to my team, having 2 of their biggest pieces. I think James Conner has a monster week. I think this is a big, it's a big James Conner week. We do see the reappearance of Garrett Wilson in the lineup. And the biggest news on Wade's side is Cooper Kupp finally coming back, playing on Thursday night against the Vikings. Obviously a tough matchup in his return. Oh wow, is it actually? Oh yeah, that makes sense. Actually, Minnesota's number 32 against receivers, but it's good. It's good news. It's because the Vikings just kick the shit out of everybody and they just have to throw the ball and play prevent. But that's great. That's where Cooper Cup excels. So actually great news. I think guess the bigger question mark there is how healthy is he and how healthy will he remain? um, so as far as handicapping this game, the running back matchups for Wade are very juicy. The ball is to start Caleb Williams there. I respect. I kind of wanted to come into this saying I think Trevor would take the victory here. But I do think James Conner and Bijan are going to be too much to overcome. If Cooper Cup can play a full 60 minutes, we've seen what he can do with Stafford, and we've seen. I expect the Rams to be losing and slinging it. So, and he's got to be so happy to have his buddy back. So I am going to go with Wade to continue his dominance this season, and Trevor to just make it that much harder to get into the playoffs. I still kind of think he does it. But 2 weeks in a row, there's got to be some adversity there. So next we're going to our second place team, which is Charlie. Charlie is playing me. I haven't quit on the season. Like, obviously I'm gonna play it out. I'm gonna do everything I can to you play to the whistle. You play to week 14. It is what it is. You make some moves that you think, you take some risk. I mean, look, nobody's ever been back-to-back champ, and you don't do it without taking some risk. And obviously those risks have backfired horrifically. But this is what you live for. This is why you play the game. You can't have the excitement of last year. You can't hang this banner without some moments like this. And this banner's not hung up, by the way. It's actually just resting on that air purifier. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that, but it's definitely. I put it there temporarily just to have it in the background, and then I never moved it. It's been sitting there ever since. Yeah, but there's not much to say this season. I will say this week is very important for my mental psyche. You know what? No game is like the Super Bowl. There is no replacement for that. There's no such thing as regular season victories. There's victories. No such thing as regular season championships. There is that too. Super Bowls aren't won in the regular season. This game is very important. Mostly because I don't know if I could live with myself for losing to a guy starting Calvin Ridley and George Pickens. And I know how detrimental it is to say that, especially with George Pickens coming off a 20-point game. It is what it is, man. That is what it is. I lost Brandon Ayuk this week, and I hate it for him. I like Brandon Ayuk. I like him a lot. I thought his holdout was worth it. He got paid. Good for him. Taking the decision out of my hands to have to start him every week is, I'm not necessarily destroyed about that. Yeah, we got Joe Burrow and Jordan Love. Whatever. The running backs are what we want to talk about here. Derrick Henry and J.K. Dobbins, a current Raven and a former Raven. Now J.K. Dobbins is getting the Saints, who it appears have fully quit on the season. We talked about the Javonte Williams side of that last week. J.K. Dobbins will now be, actually a good running back that gets to go into this game. So I am very scared of that. Obviously, I'm scared of Derrick Henry. I mean, we don't even have to discuss what that is. I mean, he is what it's disgusting. He should be on the other side. I failed. I mean, I drafted him. I believed in him, and I gave up. James Cook scored 1 of 3 running back touchdowns last week for the Bills. He had 32 rushing yards and a touchdown. So that's what I gave up Bijan for. This week he gets Seattle, who is a little more susceptible to the run. And hopefully he gets his snap share back. He only had 12 rushing attempts last week. I will say, Ray Davis got a touchdown, Ty Johnson got a touchdown. It's not like they were, you know, it's not like they had 40 carries apiece. I think Ray Davis had 5, and I think that may have been the only touch that Ty Johnson had. Josh Allen came out and slung the ball in the second half. You know, that's sometimes it's going to happen with the Bills. He's going to take over the game. It is what it is. Brees Hall gets his second matchup with the Patriots, who stink. You know, with Drake May, they're a little bit better, but they are 30th against the run. Last time he had 16.3 points against them. I would expect similar, hopefully better numbers, because his snap share has gone way up with under the new coaching staff. I think he was somewhere around 85% last week, which is encouraging to see. AJ Brown, he's elite. I talked about Calvin Ridley and George Pickens. You know, a lot of the decisions this week will come between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Romeo Doubs. Not really sold on either one of them. Jordan Addison also in the mix there to go to the bench. I'm not really thrilled about starting any of those three, but obviously Ayuk is down. Marvin, by the way, the Dolphins are the number one against wide receivers. I assume that's the opposite reasoning that I gave for the Vikings. Of they're so dog shit, they just get the ball run on them, and they're down by, you know, halfway through the second quarter. So just like receivers just take the day off, you know, go hit up happy hour. But there is that. It's the reason I'm not starting Kyler. It's probably the reason I'll end up yanking Marvin Harrison Jr. You know, I've got to talk to my family about that one and see what their thought process is, and maybe pray on it a little bit, because that's the only thing that's going to work at this point. Yeah, I need this win bad. I need it really bad. I'm not even going to say I predict that I'm going to win. I'm just going to say I desperately need to win this game. Moving on. After that, just depressing. So, I mean, it's how I feel about my team. It is. It's you know, like I said, you can't have the elation of winning this championships without. I've been thinking, you know, the year I won it, so 2 years ago, because I'm in the duck every other year. That's just how I do. You know, I think the difference between those 2 years is that year, like that year, I knew on draft night that my team was dog shit. I hated it at the draft. I was bummed leaving the draft. Like I didn't like it. And I was right. That team sucked. Obviously, I haven't had to. I think what really hurts this year is I really just, to my core, walked out of the draft thinking I had done it again. I was winning it all. You say what you want about the trade. I think most people would have on my side. I mean, hell, it almost split the group. People thought I won that trade. I mean, you know, say what you want there. That just didn't work out. I mean, that's just Derrick Henry continued to defy all odds, and I legitimately thought my team was good, and I still do. Like, that's the fucked up part, is I still look at my team and I'm like, what's the problem here? What's going on? And just every week it's just still bad. Yeah, there's that, and you know, it doesn't help that the last like 3 weeks I've had 125 plus put on me. It's not like I've been putting together stellar weeks. I mean, I'm scored 100. Usually that'll win you at least one of those 3 games, and it just hasn't. So if I seem very down this year, that's why. It's just every week I'm like, you know what, this is the week they put it together, and they never do. They just don't. You know, we have Ashley versus Cameron. I was looking at Ashley's quarterbacks options here, Jared Goff and Sam Darnold, which would be hilarious to tell somebody 2 years ago that those are your starting quarterbacks, and you're struggling to decide between them. Not because you think either one of them are going to be bad either, because you're legitimately thinking you're going to. Sam Darnold's dropped to 17. Didn't know that. And Jared Goff's ranked 12. Wow, I thought they were both higher than that. I assume there's some bye week fuckery going on in there, and their per game is probably better. But yeah, no, it's legitimately a tough decision. Sam Darnold's got the Rams, Jared Goff's got the Titans. So on paper, I think, you know, Darnold's got the better matchup, but Jared Goff is playing his dick off. His dick Goff. So right now she has Jared Goff slotted in. I don't necessarily think you're wrong either way. I may lean towards Sam Darnold just because of the matchup, but I'm 1-6, so why would anybody listen to me? On the flip side, Cameron obviously we have CJ Stroud, Stephon Diggs. We talk about it every week. They get the Colts this week, and I don't know if you know this about the Colts secondary. Poopy, big poopy butts. And Stephon Diggs is I will say I think they are a little more susceptible to the outside deep game. So Wade maybe give Tank Dell another look. I know he goosed you last week, but that's usually when they come back. But yeah, I expect Stephon Diggs and CJ Stroud to have a bounce back week too. I've teased having some takes about CJ Stroud that I'm kind of sitting on. I think if we see another stinker this week, I may be ready to just fully unleash those takes. But for right now, we're just gonna sit on him. 86 yards, what he threw last week. So yeah, I think Stephon Diggs has a monster day, and Drake London, the last time they played the Buccaneers, went nuts. I know that because he played me. It's 27.4 points. And he's scored at least 14 points. Outside of week 1, he's scored at least 14 in every game. Has a touchdown in every game, at least 2. That was a lie, by the way. In New Orleans week 4, he only put up 9.4. Yeah, I just misread that. But he's had a touchdown in every game except for 2. And then like I said, the last time he saw Tampa Bay, 154 yards and a touchdown, 27.4 points. I believe he was wide receiver 1 that week. George Kittle is dealing with a ankle injury, I believe. Foot. He has a foot injury. If Kittle goes, I think he is due to put up some monster numbers. I mean, there's just no pass catchers left, and if Debo shows up, maybe, but he's coming off pneumonia, which is fucking crazy. 1930s ass disease. And on the Ashley side, we got Jamar Chase against the Eagles. The Eagles have improved on defense a little bit. I tend to think that's because they're playing not great offenses, personally. That's why their numbers are starting to look good. I kind of think that Joey B slings it all over the Eagles this weekend. Obviously, having Joe Burrow and AJ Brown, I would love that game to be a shootout, but I don't know that a shootout's the right word. I think it could be an ass kicking. But the Bengals defense isn't exactly formidable either, so I think I think a shootout is on the table. But I think regardless, the Bengals are going. Yeah. So I am gonna go with Cameron here. I think pulling the upset. And a lot of that is built off of CJ Stroud and Stephon Diggs playing the Colts. I mean, that's 100% my reasoning. A lot of the other matchups look pretty even here. George Kittle, keep an eye on. If he doesn't play, he might be in trouble. I don't think we currently have a tight end on roster, although they're after like the first 3, they're all the same. So you just throw a dart at the wall, maybe start Johnny Smith. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Cameron in the upset because of that stack. Who's next? Who haven't I talked about? Oh, obviously the biggest rivalry in the league, maybe. Besides the marriage. We have Timmy versus Andrew, a rematch from the championship 2 years ago, the controversial championship 2 years ago, the DeMar Hamlin championship, as some would say, and the most intriguing quarterback matchup here because it's Jaden Daniels versus Lamar Jackson, and obviously that's the biggest question mark for Andrew. Is Jaden Daniels okay? He got his ribs popped last week. Now I think there was some speculation that he probably could have come back in that game had it been competitive, which it obviously wasn't. So they opted to keep him out. But still something to keep an eye on. Kamara is also dealing with some looks like with a rib injury, a hand injury, limited participant in practice, although he did just get paid. So another thing to keep an eye on there. Saquon Barkley is just an absolute behemoth of a man, and Lamar Jackson playing a divisional game against Cleveland. Lamar Jackson by all accounts, looks like he's on the way to another MVP. Threw 5 touchdowns on Monday night. I mean, he's playing out of his fucking mind. But you know, divisional games are tough. AFC North games are tough, and I mean, Cleveland, they are what they are. I think Jameis will give them a spark, especially on the defensive side of the football. You know, we heard obviously Myles Garrett say what he said about Deshaun Watson. It's still just got to be so hard as a defense to give a singular fuck when you know your offense isn't going to do anything. So Jameis gives them a chance, and I think that gives a spark in the defense. We'll see if that matters. I mean, like I said, Lamar is playing just MVP levels of football right now. Malik Neighbors, after missing 2 weeks with a concussion, basically missed a third week. Put up 41 yards. I actually didn't even know he played. I had to pull this up to see if he played again, because you didn't hear shit about Malik Neighbors. And he gets the Steelers this week, so go have fun with that. Now, Jaden Daniels' number one target being right on the other side with Timmy is fun, spicy. Terry McLaurin, even with Jaden Daniels missing most of the game last week, put up 98 yards. I mean, we've seen it. Terry McLaurin just puts up production. It doesn't fucking matter. Who cares? Marcus Mariota, doesn't matter. Put Desmond Ridder up there. He'll catch 125 yards. I talked about T. Higgins. I didn't talk about T. Higgins. Let's talk about the Bengals. T. Higgins, I think, will be right in there for recipient of the air raid, the air show that Joey B will be putting on. I think if all of Andrew's players are healthy and go this week, I think it will be tough to beat him. I mean, his team, we've talked about, his team is very, very good. Scary even. You know, and kind of waiting in the wings, we have maybe Jalen Waddle gets in there if DK Metcalf can't go. Dontavian Wiggs might sneak in there. Juwan Jennings might sneak in there because you got him. I think, like, if Andrew's entire team plays, I think he wins. Even if one or two of them don't play, I think he probably still wins. It'll be interesting to see what he does at quarterback if Jaden Daniels can't go for whatever reason, but I've seen nothing to say that he won't. So I'm going to go with Andrew to win. Move on to 4-4 and put Timmy at 4-4 too. That's another interesting thing about this game is it's a 500 bowl. For Andrew's team being as good as it is, him being 3-4 is a little bit of a shock. Yeah, I don't really have any more to say about that. That's the thought that popped in my head, and then I said it. So that leaves us with John versus Raleigh. Another 500 bowl. John also at 3-4, Raleigh at 4-3. Yeah, I mean, two quarterbacks that have been having, you know, one that's been having a great 4-year stretch. Last week he put up 323 yards. Only had 1 rushing yard, which is pretty out of character for him. The fewest he's had all season, and the fewest, he had 2 against Miami in week 2. But that game they killed him, didn't really need him. So yeah, it kind of interesting there, but also they were just beating the shit out of the Titans. So they probably told him, "Gosh, calm the fuck down. Don't go get hurt." Get Seattle this week. You know, a defense that is exploitable to some degree. Baker Mayfield gets Atlanta and also is now missing his top 2 targets. So we'll see if Raleigh decides to continue along this path. Now he did throw for 370 yards, and that was after Mike Evans got hurt. Obviously, Chris Godwin got hurt at the very end of the game. But even with 2 interceptions, he put up 27 points. So you probably just ride with him and kind of wait and see. You know, 4-3, so you can probably afford a loss if it goes crazy. So I probably just wait and see. You got Dak Prescott sitting there if you get too nervous playing the 49ers, who, I guess they're a better defense than Atlanta is what you can say, but at least Dak Prescott has the one wide receiver that he has, which is one more than Baker Mayfield has at this point. Yeah, that was depressing. I'm sorry. Deebo Samuel has pneumonia, so we'll see if he plays this week. Zay Flowers has Butterfingers, so we'll see if he plays this week. And then on the other side, we have Justin Jefferson and Jaden Reed. Now, Devon Achane is interesting. I think Tua is coming back this week. it was week 8, right? Yeah, I think Tua's coming back this week. So Devon Achane gets put back into the lineup, and against an opponent in Arizona that probably the best get right spot that any team could ever have. You could also say the same thing about the Cardinals, I think, maybe. Coming off of that kind of big win against the Chargers, they gave a gritty win. See if they can put something together for the season. Would really actually kind of love that. Sorry, we were talking about Devon Achane. Yeah, Devon Achane gets Tua back. I mean, with Tua, he was borderline RB1 overall. So there's no reason to think that he won't continue that with the full offense clicking again. Obviously, he's got to stay healthy. Tua's got to stay healthy. That's the big thing there. What else we got? The biggest loser in the Cooper Kupp recovery is probably Kyren Williams. You could say that he could open up the offense a little bit, but honestly, with Kyren being the only person there that could function on an NFL field, he was just getting fed. 2 touchdowns again last week. Has not had a game without a touchdown this year, and I think I saw that going back to last year, he's had 10 straight games with a rushing touchdown or something crazy. So we'll see, kind of how that Cooper Kupp being back into the offense goes for him. I mean, week 1 when he was there, he had 50 yards and a touchdown, which is the worst game he's had this year. I would love to say that about any of my running backs, by the way. Anyway. Yeah, so this is, I think, projected the closest game of the week, 105.11 to 105.6. And having said that, I tend to think Debo won't play this week, or at least won't be anywhere near 100%. And for that reason, I am going to go with John to win and to also get to 500. Yeah, it would be nice if these 500 guys could win, and I don't know, if I win, maybe I'll come meet you guys in the middle. That'd be fun, right? That'd be cool. Was that everybody? Did I do that quickly without notes? Wow. Yeah, did that. Yep, did them. Yep. Talked about Ashley and Cameron, and talked about, wow, 33 minutes, and I didn't write anything down. Good luck this week. I'll be at my brother's wedding. So, yeah. If you, Charlie, if you beat me this week, it's bullying, because I'm trying to be at my brother's wedding. I'm trying to be supportive. Love you. Good luck.